what you want to see.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not sure satisfaction is ever a word that you use, but when you can look at it and know you're making progress, and you see the things that the big picture stuff, which is the competitiveness, energy, bodies changing, learning how to play through fatigue, learning to bring it day after day. Can they adjust inside of a practice when it's not going so well? That's the big picture stuff that really matters. Then all the rest of it that really ends up being the big picture in due time, which is their fundamentals, their ability to play with the strength, the ability to play through contact, the simplicity, making the next pass, understanding spacing. So if you can answer yes to those questions, you're getting better, and that's what we're trying to do. And the more steps we can take out of that, the better.
With the personnel you've got and what you know they can do at this point, what kind of team is this going to be?
Well, we've got 60% of a new team. I'm not sure I do know everything they can do. I think that takes time. I think I know that the ball's going in a lot more in practice, and I think at the same time, our competitiveness defensively is going up, which is making shots harder to come by. I think we're improving in those areas. So we have a team that every year it's something different, and you build. Some places are going to constantly put the players into a system, and that works. And then a lot of times you've got to be able to be at your best. You've got to be able to adjust the system around your players. And the last couple of years were a little more. We could play inside out a little easier with Cody Zeller and Noah Vonleh. But at the same time, it really comes down to you can't have many players on the floor that the other team doesn't have to guard. That's really what it comes down to. Is you can think whatever you want about your spacing, but if the defense isn't guarding them there, then it really doesn't matter what you think. So you have to have enough players on the floor that can make plays for one another, at the same time come back and understand how to do things defensively.
James Blackman came from our area, and you were after him. I remember seeing you in the Lures gym and the Marion gym a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Is he doing the things you'd like to see?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's got a very serious mind towards improvement, and he's got tremendous talent. But he's literally one of those kids that comes out there every day and takes nothing for granted, wants to learn. It takes the constructiveness of it and how to get better, wants the details of it, and you never ever wonder if he's working on his game. And the other thing, he's working on his body. A year ago, 185 is a big benchmark in basketball, like 225 is in football, in the weights and the bench press. And he probably could do it maybe once a year ago at this time, maybe not. He came in June, he was doing it 7 times, and 2.5 weeks ago he did it 13 times. I mean, so there's a guy that's not only serious about his basketball, he's serious about his body. And he's very grounded, very humble, but yet very confident. That's exactly what we want.
What can you reasonably expect for him going into the season his freshman year?
Improve every day. I mean, I think that's a mistake when you put an expectation on players. I mean, he has. I would say this: no one's going to put a higher expectation level on him than that young man has on himself. And so really what you do is you don't worry about your expectations, you help him learn how to get to his and what he needs to do to improve. So we feel very confident that he'll be very productive.
Tom, when you talked about obviously seeing each other with Spurs and how well they move the ball in the finals, how realistic is it to do that at the collegiate level? I think they have some advantages with obviously guys being there for years and stuff, but is it possible to try to run a system kind of like that?
No, I think the mentality you want to, like for us, we don't have right now somebody that's going into the season as a projected lottery pick or first round pick that you're going to throw that ball to score in the post like we have the last couple of years. So you still have to get fouled. I mean, at the end of the day, it is about the free throw game. It's about the free throw attempts and percentages. And I think we scored 25% of our points off the foul line last year. And ourselves and Iowa were the 2 leaders in that area. So there's times we just got to break down and go to the basket. We've got to isolate. We've got to get the ball swung. We've got to get it on, swing it, drive it, get in the lane and make a play. So sometimes it's not just the next pass. Sometimes it's recognizing what's there. I think the thing that you would look at with the best teams, whether it be the San Antonio Spurs, other teams at that level, the best collegiate teams, our team a year ago, 2 years ago, when we were number 1 for so long, is we made the simple plays. And the better the players you have, the more simple the game should be. When any sense of selfishness or false bravado jumps in, or I've got to do this or I've got to do that kicks in, that always makes the game harder. The best teams, I don't know if sacrifice is a term that makes a lot of sense in this day and age, but cooperative effort you have to have. They've got to cooperate. You know, the same things they're learning values as people, they've got to have in values on the court. The ball's got to move, and you got to move without the ball, and you got to be a participant in your own rescue sometimes when you can't get the ball. Cut, move, look, screen someone, and just play random basketball. And so I think that's a big thing for our team to continue to learn, because bottom line with any team, no matter how well coached they've been, that gives them an edge. It gives them an advantage. But you're always trying to teach them how to win. And the bottom line with winning is that you have to learn all these different things that will cause you to lose. And we had too many of them last year. Turnovers, empty possessions. Too many times we got up 4 or 6, and just like that, it was even, or we were down 2, or we were down 4. We had too many of those swings that come from lack of experience, lack of understanding, but really just from decision making. And so you have to work through those things constantly. And that's the bottom line with any team. And our team is no different. We're just younger, and we have to pick it up a little faster.
Tom, is the Big Ten...
I'm sorry, the next spot. Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, do you feel like the Big Ten is a little bit harder to read this year? I mean, I know everybody, obviously, you don't know exactly what you're getting year to year. Guys improve, they bring, new faces come in, but it feels like the conference is just, maybe especially 2 through 10, 2 through 11, there's a wider range of expectations and predictions and things like that. It's just harder to peg kind of what the food chain is.
Well, I think that's where two different mindsets on how to view it. And I've never viewed it like that. I view it like this, like, the way we get ready for the Big Ten right now is to understand the basics of what you have to have in this league, okay? Everybody's going to have different ways that they score, but the common denominator is going to be everybody's capable of playing fast in this league, okay, when they want to. And not everybody wants to, maybe, but when they want to, very few times do people put players on the court that can't make shots or aren't bringing something to the table. There's very few places to hide a guy and to take those chances defensively. And the big things, you've got to guard the dribble in this league, and you've got to defend the 3. And then if you want to win, you've got to rebound. And you got to rebound at a high level, because you're always going to have an experienced league. This league has never been, there's always new players, new stars, so to speak, come into it, people get developed, but it's always an older league. So I think you look at it that way. The way we prepare for that is get good at all those things, break down the actions, especially in the preseason, in 4-on-4 segments maybe, or 5-on-5 of things that the other teams do well, so there's a familiarity when we get to it, but really look at it and say, what's the general view of what we have to be really good at? And we learn that in this league. A great example is a lot of the penetration in this league is not to penetrate for the basket, but to penetrate for the kick-out 3. And if you bring all your help rules that we're all taught at a young age into the action, people get wide open 3s. It's one of the reasons Michigan's Michigan, with the shots that they get, and Wisconsin's Wisconsin. They move the ball so well off penetration. So you've got to be able to defend that, and it's constantly making you look at how you're coaching your team and what principles you're teaching them. So that's how I view it, as a coach, and how the league is. And I don't know who's picked where. I saw where we were picked. I don't know the whole bottom line of it. It makes no difference, because everybody, in my eyes, and probably every other coach's eyes, is pretty good, and anybody can beat anybody on any given night if it's been like years past.
I feel like some of the culture of the program was compromised last year.
Culture?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like we didn't understand it as well. I think we had too many guys that hadn't been through the hard days. And we had very few players, and that's just the process of having seniors, and the process of having really 2 of the top 4 picks in the draft. We lost guys that had been a part of that buildup, and I don't know if our younger guys, and again, is it their fault that they didn't know any better, that there's a certain level that you have to be at? Are we any different than most? Probably not, because they're young kids. People make mistakes. But there's a lot of things. There's punishment and there's discipline. And punishment is, you got to understand there's a price to pay for the actions. Discipline is getting to a point where you learn better and don't want to do it again. And I think that they have to learn it. I mean, people have to learn. I don't think we're any different. And maybe because of the way we were built, from being brand new in the first couple of seasons to all of a sudden we got old and really good at the same time. And the older guys were such a big part of it. We missed, I've said this before, I don't know if I've said it to you, but we missed Derek Elston as much in a role as we missed anybody. And we lost 6,900 points. He didn't have the most points, but he had a role on that team of leadership, of energy, of likability, in the sense that he could crack on anybody, and just, it was such a big part of the chemistry. And we didn't have that. We didn't have that maturity last year, which led to some poor decisions on the court and off. But you build right through it, and then it becomes, we are absolutely moving forward. We're not waiting up, and we don't want to spend a lot of time looking back at it, but we got to learn from it. And that's and it's ongoing. It's ongoing, and it's ongoing at every level. It's ongoing at every sport. It just so happens that the lights are bright on anybody in college basketball or in college sports in general, but at Indiana, they are brighter in Indiana basketball. And that's what you sign up for. And it takes them a while to understand that's what they signed up for.